What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Jav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review. Today with me, we got my brother B.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, man. And this week, man, nothing really big to talk about. I mean, I know this week, Brandon, we got Lost City with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock. Any, any interest, Brandon? Any interest in seeing that this week?
Not a single one.
I got to talk to the wife to see if she's interested in seeing it. It's a romantic comedy, and it's been a while since I've seen a nice, good romantic comedy. So I'm hoping it's all right. I might check it out, might not. Talk with the family, the friends, and see who wants to go. But what it is right now, though, B. As you know, we celebrated on Saturday 3 years, 3 whole years of doing the Real Fan Review, which is absolutely crazy.
This is nuts.
I mean, the time has flown by, my brother.
It's crazy to think where I was 3 years ago.
But it's just nuts, spinning. And one of the things I guess I wanted to talk about today, since there's not a lot of movie news, a lot of movie things going on, you know, it's kind of like recapping some of the stuff for us. I know a lot of your favorite movies, a lot of my favorite movies, and we kind of haven't really talked about, like, has anything changed as far as your favorite movies goes? Because in the last 3 years, since we've been doing the podcast, we had Avengers Endgame, we had Far From Home, No Way Home, the Batman that just came out. So a lot of good movies out there. We have the John Wick Chapter 3 that came up there. So, I personally have your top 10 here that I'm looking at, Brandon.
Oh, boy.
And I'm curious to know, man, I mean, has anything changed in your top 10? Has something come off, or has one of these movies in the last 3 years that we've been doing this gone into your top 10? So I'll tell you right now, I still don't believe what I'm seeing. But at the time, which was maybe about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we asked you this, and you said your top 10 was number 1, Man of Steel. Number 2, Avengers Endgame. Number 3, The Dark Knight, Inception, Toy Story, Captain America Winter Soldier, The Prestige, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which I knew would be in your top 10. And Jurassic Park to round out your top 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the last 3 years, B, I've been with you to a couple of these movies, and you've lost your goddamn mind. We have It with Pennywise. We have John Wick Chapter 3 that you lost your mind with. Far From Home. No Way Home with the Spider-Man trilogy there. We have No Time to Die, which was the 007 movie. Trial of the Chicago 7, which was a Netflix movie that blew our minds. And then we just most recently had The Batman. So I'm curious to know, has any of those movies, or maybe another movie that I didn't mention that's in your top 10 there, or another movie that I didn't mention in the last 3 years, that you feel has kind of jumped in and taken a spot?
Okay, so looking at my list here, it's classics and, like, incredible movies here. I mean, Avengers Endgame, it's there, man. I was crying.
Yeah.
Man of Steel, I will say this. I love Man of Steel, and I feel like I'm very similar to Al in my liking of the movie, right? Like it's the lawful good, right? And the absolute good, and Superman, is no black and white, like he's Superman. He is good, if it's in a gray area, Superman finds a way to make it, in a good area. And, like, I don't know, I've always been a fan of the symbolism behind Superman. So Man of Steel, like, I want to keep it in my top 10, just because I always appreciated what that movie was.
Right.
Dark Knight, ooh, the Batman is, how I feel about the Batman now, as opposed to the Dark Knight. And I'm going to say, I thought the Dark Knight was incredible. And in my review of the Batman, I guess in watching the Batman put in motion for me all the things about the Dark Knight that didn't make that much sense,
Right.
right? Or the parts of the movie that could have been developed better, and I felt like the Batman did it better.
Hmm.
Like I think the legacy of Heath Ledger playing the Joker is forever, blowing
Cemented
away
in there.
that, it's
Yeah.
just blowing away the role. Um, but overall, I feel like The Batman is the best Batman movie I've ever seen.
Wow.
So I'm gonna say not goodbye to the Dark Knight, but I'm gonna say goodbye to the Prestige. So another Nolan.
Ooh, you hit me in my heart with the Prestige there, man.
I love the Prestige, but if I'm gonna say my top 10, the Prestige is right on 11. It's right on 11. Um,
Yeah. So the
I
Batman
would
jumped into your
definitely
top
say
10.
the Batman. Like I said, it's the best Batman movie I've ever seen,
Right.
and and it's funny is like I don't know if I just think like with an like I have an older soul. Like I enjoy talking to people who are older than myself, and
Uh,
I don't really like hanging out with people younger than me. Like it's weird to
right.
me, or like my age, and I think they're younger than I am. And I don't know, like I see their gripes about the movie, and I'm like, why are you so immature? Like why are you this way? Like, why don't
Grow
you
up.
understand? Like, what do you mean you fell asleep? Like, how? How did you fall asleep? Like, so I don't understand young people anymore. So I fully invest fully in this Batman. Um, well, I will say, is what was after Toy Story?
Let's see, man. For you, after Toy Story was
Cap and the Winter Soldier, right?
you had Captain America and the Winter Soldier, Prestige, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind,
Oh, I
Scott
still love it.
Pilgrim versus the World, and Jurassic Park.
All right, I'm gonna say sorry, childhood, but Toy Story is gonna get pushed out the way.
Oh God, you're hurting me.
And I realized this actually last night. I realized it's funny that this comes up today. Is I realized this last night that there's a movie that I absolutely love, and I guess because it relates to me in some odd way.
Uh-huh.
But in 2014, the movie Whiplash with
Oh, that was a
J.K.
fantastic
Simmons.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, like that movie, like was incredible to me, and like
Oh yeah.
and it hurts me that I forgot about it. Like I saw a clip pop up yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, take me back!" Like I put on the movie and I watched it last night. Like I was just like, "This movie is incredible,"
It is.
And I was like, I think it's one of the best pieces of cinema I've seen in a long time. And that movie, as a musician in a jazz program in music school, that is the most relatable story to see. Like, minus the car accident and
Right.
purposely making him make a mistake in front of an audience. Like that doesn't happen really, but like the whole ending of that movie just blows it. It just blows it up. Like, it's incredible. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Whiplash up there where Toy Story was.
Yeah,
And
man.
I mean I've got to give it to I don't know where to put it to be honest with you, but like
How about No Way Home?
No Way Home has to be on here somewhere, and I
Right.
don't know where it goes. I would probably say Captain the Winter Soldier is gonna have to get a push down
Oh, Jesus. We're gonna
just
have
just for
to.
No Way Home because like it's like number 12. Like it's like number 11. Like like it's right there. Like I love Captain the Winter Soldier for everything it was. Like
Right.
in the time when Marvel was so new and the formula wasn't there yet,
Hmm.
but it was getting there. Here comes this spy movie that is about Captain America. And this is full on espionage. This is 007 with a shield. Like
Right.
that movie was incredible to me. But when I think about No Way Home, right? No matter what we knew about that movie, when it happened, it was bonkers.
It was
You
insane.
know,
Absolutely
like
insane.
like that movie did what Endgame did for me. Was it brought my childhood and my love of movies like fully forward. Like the second Andrew Garfield showed up on screen, like, the second I saw those eyes, right? I was like, oh shit, they're doing it. They're doing the thing. But when Tobey Maguire showed up on that screen, instantly brought back to 2002. And like, I don't know. I'm going to tears right now just thinking about the moment. Like, I'm thinking about 2002. I was like, what, 12? Like
Right.
maybe 10? And like watching superhero movies with you, going to midnight openings, watching those movies with dad,
Yeah.
watching them with mom. And like, it was so cool. And I'm crying now thinking about it. Like it's incredible. And to have that like replay itself in those moments in that movie, I was like, they did it. They brought everything full forward, had my childhood is back, like everything for the last 20 years, and that was incredible. So I'm sorry, Cap, but I'm gonna put No Way Home back up there.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest parts for me is looking at my top 10 and trying to decide where do I fit No Way Home, The Batman, John Wick 3, and a couple and Trial of Chicago 7.
Oh,
And,
incredible.
and I'm just like these movies just were so impactful that I saw them multiple times. I just watched No Way Home last night on my computer. Like it just
We
it
need
was
like more
spectacular.
lists. Like, we can't have like a straight 10. Like, it has to be,
Yeah.
oh, these are my 10 here, and these are my 10 here.
Because I'm looking at my list even right now. I have The Dark Knight as my number one movie that I'd love to see. Seven, Avengers: Infinity War, Gladiator, The Count of Monte Cristo, Captain America: Civil War, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Avengers, the first one, Die Hard with a Vengeance. I mean, come on, and Matrix. And I can't see myself moving any of those movies. Like those movies mean so much to
There'd be
me
so much.
because it's what it is with these movies. It's just like it's not just the movie itself; it's the experience and the memories that I have with those movies.
Yeah, that's like
You know
that's
what I
it,
mean?
100%.
It hits me to a time period. It hits me with a memory. I still remember watching The Dark Knight in the theaters with you guys and just losing our goddamn minds when the freaking truck hit those little cable wires and did the flip. Even though we saw it on the commercial, we saw it on the trailers. In the theaters, it was bananas. And then he did the trick with the motorcycle where he went up against the wall, turned around, and came back down. Oh, dude, everybody lost it in the theaters. And then I listen. I know Seven is old. There's some freaky stuff with Seven, but man, every time I watch it, when it gets to the ending, I start getting goosebumps and I start feeling like, oh shit, what's in the box? Like I haven't seen the movie 1,000 times
Like, I
already.
don't fucking know what's in the box.
It's just crazy. And then, come on, Infinity War is a moment I will never forget as far as going to the movies. My son was born maybe a day or two after, and I was worried like, oh my god, I'm gonna miss the movie, but I don't care. It's my son's gonna be born, so I'm gonna go see it. But I was like, but damn, this is close. you know, I remember not seeing Gladiator in the theaters. I didn't pay any mind to it. I heard all the buzz, and when it was nominated for Best Picture, I was like, oh, maybe I should check it out. And just fucking loving that movie, man. So it's like, while the Batman is great, I don't know, man. I can't see it knocking down the first Matrix. Die Hard with a Vengeance, man. Die Hard 1 should be up there too, but at the same time, Die Hard with a Vengeance to me has always been the cool one with Samuel L. Jackson figuring out the clues and figuring out what this guy's really trying to do is. And then I always remember them saying like, well, his brother was about bank robbery. This is simple, they just went off this path. We're like, wait a minute, this is not about this. They're just trying to distract us. And I thought that was so awesome, man, how they just figured out the whole thing in that movie. So to me, and at this moment in time, as much as I would love to put No Way Home and the Batman in there, I can't do it, man. I can't do it just yet, man. My top 10 is staying in my top 10. And I think the Batman will be right there at 11, and 12 will be No Way Home, man. So,
And I got to give it to Trial of Chicago 7.
oof,
Like, that was an unexpected perfect movie. Like across the board, from the actors to the acting to the story to the acknowledgement of what happened. Like I never knew that was a thing. I didn't know that happened. And
Hmm.
then to realize this is a real event that happened in history. So the awareness that came with this movie was even better. Like just the fact that I became aware of this from this masterpiece of a movie, that I
Right.
decided to read more into it. Like, I thought that was incredible. Like, I think they nailed it across the board. And that's kind of the reason why I love movies like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Like, movies like that, they make you think, they make you enjoy the presence of actors that you may not see in roles like this, like Sacha Baron Cohen. Like
Hmm.
he was a sillier guy in the movie, but he wasn't Borat. Like
Right. Yeah.
the role he played was sophisticated, it was mature, it was
Hmm.
thought provoking, and he nailed it across the board there. So like when you have who was it? It was Jim Carrey, right, in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Winona Ryder, right? You have
Hmm.
those two, and you have Jim Carrey as the funny guy. And throughout this movie, he's playing this paranoid schizophrenic, like, and the way he leads his character through is not Jim Carrey at all,
Right.
but he's engaging, he's mature, he makes you think what part of this movie is real, what part of this is a lie, where does it all meet, is the relationship, like, it just makes you think, and like that's where, like, oh, love it. So
Yeah.
those are, I love movies that make you think, but I also, just like you, love these movies that bring you back. Like No Way Home, I shed like 7 tears just now thinking about 2002. You know,
Yeah.
like it's just what brings you back and what makes you think is like movies for me. Like that's what I love.
Yeah, man. And like you said, with the Sarah Baron Cohen, Sasha Baron Cohen, excuse me, in the Trial of Chicago 7, I don't think there's ever been more of a change in my mind frame of what an actor is, because I've always, for some reason, just because of Borat and because of the other stupid Ali G show and all that other stuff that he does, I always typecasted him and kind of thought of him as just like this like crazy idiot or crazy guy that does all these crazy things. And when I saw the Trial of Chicago 7, I'm like, holy shit, he's an actor.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
he's an actor. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is great.
he's incredible.
He's over there holding his own with Eddie Redmayne. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, holy crap, it's crazy, man. But like, with all these movies coming out and stuff, it does seem like it feels like Disney in the last 3 years, or even a little bit more than the last 3 years, has kind of like just taken over. And I don't know, it's because of the acquisition of Star Wars, and Pixar has always been Disney, but the acquisition of Star Wars and Marvel kind of made Disney into this huge, conglomerate that just makes these blockbusters now. And I'm trying to think of any other studio besides Disney that has movies that are coming out that are interesting us. Warner Brothers has hit or miss, with their franchises and things like that. The Matrix, Harry Potter, the DCEU, and stuff like that. But I just don't feel like anybody's doing it like Disney right now. And what's your
No.
take on Disney for the last couple of years, and even like what you can see going forward?
Disney's playing the money game. Disney is smart because somewhere along the line in 2015, 2014, Disney realized that it had something, that if they wanted to keep growing in terms of parks, in terms of IPs, in terms of just revenue and streams of revenue, they had to do something different and they had to do something bold. you know. And the acquisition of Marvel wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. Like, you have to remember, like, nobody gave a shit about like comic books. Like in the early 2000s, Spider-Man and X-Men, those were great movies, but no one really cared. Like, no one was saying, "Oh, superheroes are on the rise." They were just like, "Ah, they made an X-Men movie. Like, that's incredible. That's awesome." Oh,
Uh
the
huh.
Hulk came out with Eric Bana. Oh, the Hulk came out with Eric Bana. Like, like nobody cared about comic book movies. And so Marvel wasn't important. So when they bought Marvel, it wasn't a big deal. But when that whole Kevin Feige and the universe plans were laid out in front of us, it was like we had seen something new, and Disney's like, yeah, yeah. And then Star Wars was the boldest thing they could do, you know.
Was Star Wars first before Marvel? I think they bought Star
Star Wars,
Wars
I think Star Wars was after Marvel.
after. Okay.
I think it was like right in that acquisition phase. Like they had that Thanos thing where they're just like, oh, we're gonna get that with the next one, you know. And then Fox was up there, and you know, it just like you can see that Disney was getting smarter because then they started hiring real talent. They said, if we're going to do these things, if we're going to have these Marvel movies, we're going to do Star Wars, we're bringing in the best and the best because we can afford it. And I think that's what separated them from everybody else when it comes to Warner Brothers, MGM Studios, DreamWorks, X, Y, and Z. You know, it's just that there's talent, but Disney's bringing the best of the best because they can buy it. Warner
Mm,
Brothers depends on their movies, depends on their TV shows. Disney has parks, it has this, it has TV, it's got all of this.
yeah.
They have no endless stream of money, and so now they capitalized on it in the 2010s. And for that, they just took over, you know. And
Yeah.
you're right. Like I'm thinking this blockbuster season, we have Doctor Strange, right? Other than Doctor Strange, we have a couple other blockbusters coming from other studios, but they don't have the hype that Doctor Strange does. And we said it ourselves, like none of us are really that focused on Doctor Strange. Like we weren't that impressed with him in No Way Home. But I'm fucking looking forward to Doctor Strange too. Like,
Yeah.
and Sony, I think what happened with Sony is Sony had those leaks in the early 2010s. And those leaks hurt them because after that, they started losing a lot of people. And because they started having less faith in their talent, like Andrew Garfield was fired from Spider Man because he was sick and didn't show up to an event because he was sick. And and Sony said, we had to do all this because of you. We're not doing this anymore. You're done. Right? Like they fired talent. And yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man movies weren't doing that great, but they did a lot of moves in spite. They lost a
Hmm.
lot of talent because of spite. So I don't recall seeing a good Sony movie since, you know, like Sony in conjunction with Marvel, part of Disney, yeah, they've made great movies under the
Hmm.
Spider-Man saga here with Tom Holland,
Hey,
but
hey, hey! You respect that Spider Verse.
oh, Spider-Verse was great. Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse was great. But like, you know, like even with that, their inspiration there was to go to Marvel, you know,
Hmm.
and work in partnership or association with them. So it's kind of like they can't do it on their own, you know?
Hmm.
And so that's what like studios like Warner Brothers who got the DCEU, they didn't make a plan. Their whole thing was we need to be where Marvel is now in order for the rest of our other IPs to do well. So we need our Justice League to get the money that Marvel's making so that way we can make the next James Bond, that we can make the next this. And they didn't
Right.
capitalize on it because they didn't do it well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, listen, man. They've been killing it with the way that they've been handling things over there at Disney. I just hope you hear a lot about their new CEO Chapek. And you hear things that he's changing things from the more creative aspect to just strictly financial. But hopefully, some of the main ideas stay because that's what got them where they are today. So I'm hoping that ideology of financial over creativity is not as prevalent as I hope it is. But at the same time, man, I just like I'm hoping that these other studios get it going. It doesn't have to be these huge like IPs like Marvel and stuff like that. They can come out with some good movies, man. And it sucks to almost always kind of hope on the next Marvel movie, the next Star Wars movie, the next Pixar movie. I want to look forward to something from somebody else also. There was a point after the Invisible Man where I was looking forward to the next Blumhouse horror movie because I'm like, oh, that was really good.
Yeah.
And then the next one was okay, and it was all right. So I'm hoping that this new movie coming out, Firestarter, sometime in the next couple of months, is going to bring me back to wanting to see more Blumhouse movies again. Even the horror franchises have kind of like died out a little bit too. There's
They
no
tanked.
comedy. There's no comedy movies anymore. I mean, it's just kind of like I said, silly, just always constantly waiting for the next Marvel movie or the next big thing. I think the only thing that's kind of compared to Marvel has been in the last 3 years the Fast and Furious franchise, which is crazy.
It's
They're out
crazy
there,
to say.
they're making billions of dollars out there. And DC has their comic book movies that are making billion. I still can't believe Aquaman made $1 billion. But I wasn't impressed with Aquaman. And to be honest with you, I really wasn't impressed with a lot of the DCEU. You know what I mean? I kind of liked the Batman versus Superman a little bit until they got to the whole Martha thing. But it's just been interesting, man. But I was gonna ask all four of us if we had been on was, out of these studios of Disney's, like what do you think is probably the studio that you find the most fascinating, the most interesting, and the one that you find yourself looking more forward to the most? Is it the Marvel franchise of Disney, or Star Wars, or Pixar? Because you're a big Pixar fan, B.
I love Pixar.
Or is it the Disney stuff? Because Disney does their own little cartoon movies as well, besides Pixar.
So I would say for me, I genuinely like all things Disney. You
Mhm.
know, from the Disney movies, I feel like whenever they make something like Encanto, things like
Oh
that,
yeah.
even Frozen, like no matter what it is, they bring in really great storytelling. Even
Hmm.
if it's a movie for kids and you can find it interesting as an adult, the way they plan things. Like when I saw Frozen 2, the like the whole idea behind Elsa losing her powers and it's because of this and that, like it's a kids movie. Like you're like, oh, Elsa's losing her powers, but she's gonna sing. As an adult, you're like, oh shit, the way they explain that's actually pretty interesting. Like, like, oh, I wonder how this goes in with the mom and her past. Like, like it's very thought provoking. And then you have Pixar, which, I think I know there's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes with Pixar in the last couple of years, and it's shown in a lot of their stuff. But in the last couple of years, you've had such great movies that came out that are really awesome. Like even like was it Luca? The
I
Italian
like
sea
Luca, man.
monsters.
I've seen it like 15 times in the last 2 weeks, but yeah.
Like like even that movie right there is great, and it's sparking a lot of conversation with people about Disney revisiting just being a kid. Like
Mhm.
there's no existentialism about Disney with a lot of these movies. Like the kids don't have to save the world. No one's gonna die because the person didn't do this. Like old
Right.
Pixar. Like with Wally, and things like that. So it's just like kids being kids and their maturing phase and X, Y, and Z, and a lot of that's appreciated. The tales are great as long as they're told right.
Hmm.
Um, and then obviously I'm always looking forward to Marvel. Like I have that schedule like on my wall, like what comes next. Like I will say the only IP that I'm just not sure of, and I don't know how they move on with this, is Star Wars. You know,
Yeah.
it's just been so hit, miss, 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 hit, miss, 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 miss. Like like the Mandalorian can't be the only thing driving this Star Wars universe. Like as good as that show is, they're capitalizing on, oh, now that we have this show, we can branch and do all these things. Well, if
Hmm.
you're gonna do it, you know, do it. Like you can't give me the book of Boba Fett and it's really the show of Tatooine. Like it's nothing really to do with Boba Fett at all. And then oh, but don't worry, the Mandalorian's in this one episode and it's a really good episode. Like,
It was
like
the episode.
he was the episode, and it was it. And then you have this new Obi-Wan show coming out, and I love me, you, and McGregor. I love Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
but after seeing this Book of Boba Fett show, after seeing some of the other Star Wars properties, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm going to
Yeah.
watch it, but I'm hoping it works out. And I know Al is big on this, in saying that the Mandalorian is opening doors in terms of it doesn't always have to be about Jedi. You have
Right.
all these universes, all these stories you can tell, from bounty hunters to X, Y, and Z. Like, expand it. It doesn't always have to lead back to a Jedi. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like that story's been told, and while it's the most prevalent thing about Star Wars, you have a whole universe of ideas that you can do with these people. And so, like, I'm not confident with the Star Wars realm of things. Like, after
Yeah.
those last three movies, I don't know how to feel about those. But past that, like, going into other studios, like, I'm hoping Warner Brothers gets it together. I'm
Yeah.
hoping Sony gets it together. Because I agree, like, I shouldn't have to wait every 3 months for a new Marvel movie to be excited about going to the movies. I
Yeah.
want to be excited every month about something new coming out.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I'm gonna piggyback on what you're saying about Star Wars because to me, that's the probably most shocking thing is how bad Star Wars went after Force Awakens. Because when Force Awakens came out, I was like, oh shit, Star Wars is back. You know what I mean? And and then sure enough, I mean, everybody knows what was it,
The
what was
Last Jedi.
the Last Jedi? That was the one that kind of like oh shit, that was like a really bad Star Wars movie. And then Rise of the Skywalker, like it had its moments. At least it wasn't as bad, in my opinion, at least as the Last Jedi. It wasn't great either. It was just felt like oh okay,
Dude,
like
I remember seeing the look of your on your face when they introduced the Knights of Ren and did nothing with them. They killed them like that, and you're just like, what?
yeah, man. I really had high hopes for the Knights of Ren, man. And listen, there's still maybe a chance we see them again with their own Disney Plus series, kind of like to tell who they are and maybe a mission that they did. But I wholeheartedly agree that they need to just forget Luke Skywalker, even Ray. I mean, I'm sure Ray's going to be back in some way or form in the future, but they need to just start a whole different story, man. And it doesn't have to be about the Skywalkers. It could just be just new Jedi's and a different story, a different, growing up message and a different thing. I just want the kind of always going back to Luke. It's just got to stop because it's not going to go anywhere from there. Can you imagine if every freaking movie had something to do with Iron Man and Marvel? Like, it can't always deal with Iron Man and the Avengers, which is what I appreciate about Marvel so much. But it's like that's where my heart is Star Wars, man. I remember growing up watching the original Star Wars, and Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the not the Revenge of the Sith. Is it Revenge of the Sith? The third one, I forgot the third one just off the top of my head just now, but I just Return of the Jedi, I think it was the third one there.
Return of the Jedi is in the main series, yeah.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith is from the freaking the prequel series.
Episode three.
So for me, it's like I hung my hat on those original three, and the prequels were like they weren't as bad as people make them out to seem, but they're not great either. You know what I mean? And then Force Awakens again brought it back, and I was like, yes, yes, it's in the right hands again. And now it's like you're right. I have no real thoughts of where Star Wars is going. My hanging hat on the movies is like you said, my Marvel, man. Marvel, it has been holding us down for the last what 12, 13 years now.
Yeah.
Looking forward to Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I can't wait. We haven't even seen a preview for Thor Love and Thunder. We still have no idea what's happening in Wakanda Forever, which is supposed to be
Yeah.
Black Panther 2. I mean, and these things are all coming within the next 7, 6 months. I'm just excited for Marvel,
Yeah.
man. I can't
And
wait to see what they got
even
going on.
even in the same play, like, in terms of Disney capitalizing on things, now you don't even have to wait for a movie to come out. We have Disney Plus shows, and they're
Mm.
Marvel and Star Wars. So keeping with those same IPs, they now expanded. Oh, don't worry. We know there's a movie coming out this year. So between then, here are 5 Marvel shows that you can watch, and each comes out next month. Like, it's
Yeah,
like when this one ends, don't worry. In 2 weeks, the next one starts. You always get to watch something. You get to keep in it. And, like, it's like a brainwashing game, right? Like it's just like, oh, I've got WandaVision, it's finally here, and then it ends like, oh, I've got Falcon and Winter Soldier, oh, I've got Loki now. Like it's like they keep feeding me. Like they're like, yes, keep eating, yes.
More
Oh,
Marvel.
more Marvel, yes, more Marvel. So it's like even now, like we have no Marvel, but no Marvel shows other than Moon Knight, which is coming soon. But that's going to feed us going into Doctor Strange, and then from there, Moon Knight, we have She-Hulk, and we have Miss Marvel. So now we're back into this rotation of movies and shows, movies and shows. So we have nothing else to worry about.
Gotcha, man. So listen, what's your thoughts on some of these other franchises that are trying to start stuff? Like Sony's trying to start this whole Spider-Man universe where there's Venom, there's Morbius, there's these other Spider-Men in different universes, you know? And I mean, granted, we don't know really what's going on with Morbius. We don't know if it's with one of the Spider-Men, but we know he knows who Venom is. We see that popping up. You see that I keep hearing that the Harry Potter franchise is going to come back because these offshoot movies of the Harry Potter series, they're just not doing it like Harry Potter was.
Garbage.
What is the name of the series?
Fantastic Beast.
Fantastic Beasts. Yeah. Nah, they're not it, man. It's
They're
not
not.
Harry Potter.
There's supposed to be like six of them, and I'm like, I don't even want to see number three. Like, don't tell me there's six,
Yeah.
and I hate this franchise. Like, come on.
And then we got John Wick coming out with a 4, and they're working on a 5 as well. So there's like these other little franchises that are having things come up. Are any of those something you're looking forward to, or you're like, yeah, that's my next thing right there?
I think right now, we are in movies have fads, and
Hmm.
when Iron Man made it big and Thor and Captain America was coming out, it was like, oh, we need superhero movies. Then now, as of Avengers Endgame, the whole idea, or I guess I would even say Into the Spider-Verse, the whole idea of multiverse became a top seller. So now
Hmm.
all these movies coming out, not even superhero movies, they're all talking about multiverses or other verses or other dimensions, right? So
Right.
now we're seeing that this probable next decade is all about multiverses, in whatever capacity that's going to be. And I feel like it's going to work the best in this Sony universe. Like I think because of their association with Marvel, whatever
Hmm.
writing talent they're getting from Marvel to help them with their movies, I think that's going to help. I think the thing that's going to carry Sony is this animated Into the Spider-Verse series, this trilogy of movies. I think this is what's going to carry them forward
Hmm.
because, and we've seen it with DC, there's something about these animated movies that get kids, but they also get adults, and it's because you're able to tell a story in a different way. Like uh, with real life movies, you have to have the stuntmen, you have to have the money to make some of these stunts happen, to have the explosion, to have the CGI. You have
Right.
to have all this money to make this happen on a set. With a lot of these animated movies, especially, I would have to give it to DC for this one. They kill it with the animated game. You can make anything happen because all it needs to do is be drawn.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to have a $20 million budget when all you have to do is have 15 writers draw it, and you can have them do anything. They can fly, they can do this, that, so there's no limitations of what you can see your heroes doing or what the story can do because it's animated. I
Hmm.
think that was one of the biggest things about Into the Spider-Verse was all of the things happening on screen. Could you see that happening in a real life version of the movie? Like without
Right.
all the CGI, without all the big sets, they would have to limit so much
Yeah.
because of the limitations of money and all of that. So
Hmm.
I think we may even see a rise of more mature animated movies because of the capabilities that they come with. And honestly, as someone who loves anime, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be weird for a lot of people who aren't used to it, but I think we're starting to see that the ideas that a lot of studios are coming with are now opening to the ideas that animation allows it to tell us a better story in some capacity.
Yeah, man, and I hope they do come up with these better stories, man, because that's what's going to get us going back to the theaters and stop all this nonsense about the theaters dying out. You know, I mean, we got to get these things that are going to bring us into those movies and get other people excited to go to the movies. Because, man, going to the movies has been one of the best experiences, or has led to some of the best experiences in my life. So, I just want those to keep happening and keep going, man. But listen, we'll segue off on this one here, Brandon, man, since Marvel is your favorite, and so is Pixar and all this stuff from Disney, what's your expectations for Marvel right now? Because we really don't really know where they're going. I mean, there's these things that are leading to Kang, or we've been introduced to Kang, but then there's these, there's the Eternals with these, huge, what were they called? The huge gods.
Oh,
Shoot, I can't
oh,
remember their
blanking
names
out.
right
Yeah, I'm
now.
blanking out right now.
But we had the
Asherim. Asherim.
we have those guys there. We have possibly all these things going on in the background with those Disney Plus shows, and Eileen who's recruiting everybody. So it's like, what's your best guess for what's going on, what's happening in Marvel, and what we're going to be talking about in our 4-year anniversary of the Real Fan Review?
I had I had a conversation with somebody about this. Another person who really likes movies, and we were talking about Marvel and the state of things, and like there was a clear line, from Iron Man to Avengers Endgame, was getting the team together, having the Avengers, telling the stories that everything leads to Thanos, right? And my thought now is Marvel is switching up the game. There is no line. There are paths, right? And so I don't think we're gonna see another Avengers movie.
No
Like
way.
I don't think we see another Avengers movie again. I think Avengers Endgame was the end of the Avengers. Um, I think from
Wow.
this point forward, it's stories that either build teams, whether they're named or not, but builds teams together for certain events to battle certain things. Like
Right.
like you mentioned, we have so many plot lines right now, from Kang to the multiverse and whatever that leads to. Like, Doctor Strange is the multiverse of madness, but we don't know what's on the other side. Like, are we just going to visit the multiverse and see variants, or is something coming other than Kang from the multiverse? Because
Right.
for some reason, Kang seems to be a part of time and maybe the multiverse, but they're making everything seem to see that separate. And then we have what's happening in space, right? Because Fury's in space with Sword. Um, we have the potential for the mutants to come in for X-Men. We have the idea of the Fantastic Four coming in. Shang-Chi, where is he leading? So with all these things and the Disney Plus shows, how do these guys get involved? Especially
Mm.
now that we're hearing that Daredevil might be brought back. So how do these guys all get involved if this isn't linear, right? If this isn't leading into one big person, if this isn't leading to Galactus, I feel like we're leading down to multiple big villains. That each of these people are going to team up for something, with another group of people. Maybe we'll get the Thunderbolts. Maybe we'll get something like that. But I don't think we're getting Avengers again.
Wow, that's deep, man. I mean, the one thing I'm personally looking forward to is I'm looking forward to the Young Avengers. I mean, you showing me way too many Avengers, Young Avengers in every freaking show and now movies. It's just like I've seen what Kate Bishop, the Wanda's kids. We've seen the Captain America guy from Captain America Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. The kid Loki I've seen. I've seen all these little characters that I know are a part of the Young Avengers. I'm just so excited to see what happens with them. I really don't want a Disney Plus show of them. I want a full on movie with them
Mhm.
versus Kang, just like in the comics. You know, I'm very excited for that. But I'm also excited for the other stuff. Like you said, there's so many different avenues they can go down. I mean, we just met Star Fox in this with the Eternals.
Yeah,
So where's that leading to? I personally think that's leading to Galactus. If it's not them, then when the Fantastic Four come, I think that'll eventually lead to Galactus. We still don't know what Thor's doing. We don't know what's going on with the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just a crazy time, and yet they keep hitting everything out of the park with what they're doing.
yeah.
Thank God for Marvel. Thank God.
And even like, even with Black Widow, you had a story there that tried to lead into something, but it gave some closure to a character. You know, I think it could have came a lot earlier, but it gave us closure to the character, right? It wasn't a good movie, but it gave us closure to her because she deserved it. Scarlett
Right.
Johansson absolutely killed that role for 10 plus years. So I like the finality for her there, if that is the finality for her. I mean,
Right.
after the whole Disney stuff, that might be, but with Marvel, you never know. But
Right.
you know, even with Shang-Chi, you mentioned the Guardians, you mentioned
Hmm.
the Eternals, like these, and with the Eternals, we were introduced into with Dane Whitman and
Hmm.
potentially Blade. Like
Yeah.
there's so many avenues opening, but it's starting to feel now like they're opening up their own real life comics. Like this is what happens in the comics. I can go to the store and buy all of these Marvel comics and read these stories of what these people are doing. And
It's
it's
all
like,
different.
and it feels like this is what they're doing now with the movies. Is yes, this is one universe, but our heroes have to stop all of these things happening in our universe. Like I think that's where they're going. It's like welcome to the Marvel Comics universe. Like like.
Right. Absolutely crazy, man. But yeah, man, listen, I'm here for all of this stuff, man. I'm here for the next Star Wars chapter, iteration, whatever comes out. As much as I love Disney Plus, I love my movies. So I want good movies, great stories, great characters, fantastic acting, and something memorable, man. And I just can't wait till the next time we're back in the theaters again, because I think Morbius comes out next week. Because I know you don't seem too interested with the Lost City, so but Morbius is the next week, and I think the week after that is Sonic 2. So some things to look forward to.
Mhm.
Absolutely, man. But listen, guys, I want to thank everyone out there that's listening to us talk on the mics. Whether you're listening on your podcast playlist or you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the plus symbol on your podcast playlist. We talk about movies and we review movies and big movie news. We talk about those every single week. You could download our podcast every Monday and Tuesday, and usually Wednesday or Thursday, the video of it comes out on YouTube. So again, guys, I want to thank you guys for listening for the last 3 years. If you've been listening to us for a while, we've had fans listen to us from France, from even
Whew.
even from Mother Russia, even though right now we're a little mad at you, Russia. But, we've had people listening to us all over South America, North America, Asia, Australia. It's been amazing to see those people downloading the podcast. Last week, 50 people downloaded the podcast. This week, it was like 80, 90 people downloading the podcast. And those numbers may be small to a lot of big podcast people, but for us, man, that's amazing that 80 people listen to us on a podcast and then maybe like 40, 50 people listen to us on YouTube. It's amazing, man, that people listen to us just talk about movies, man, because it's something that we do and we love. So thank you guys out there. We'll, stay with us for the next year reunion for 4 years. And
Mhm.
I think the next episode we should be talking about the Oscars, I believe. The Oscars are this Sunday. So, B guys out there, please watch the Oscars. B, you're going to watch the Oscars most likely.
Oh
And
yeah.
we'll talk about the Oscars on Monday to see, hey, who won, who lost, maybe some movie previews that come out. And maybe we'll get you ready for Morbius as well. So, listen, coming out of Long Island, New York, we are the Real Fan Review. We got my brother B.
Adios, everybody.
You got myself, Hav, saying thank you guys again for listening and watching. Hit that plus symbol, hit that subscribe button, send us a comment, talk to us, email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. And man, let us know what you're hoping for with Marvel, with Star Wars, or any of these movie franchises. And we'll get back to you guys next week for sure. Till next time.